Hello, Danica here, and welcome to a new video on the channel. Today we're going to be playing a modded version of the World's Hardest Game 3, which is made by me, or at least I made the mod. The game is made by Stephen Krytoff, and this is called the Fewer Checkpoints mod. The idea is pretty simple. It's the World's Hardest Game 3, but some of the checkpoints have been taken out to make it more difficult. So on this screen here you can see that this bottom checkpoint down there has been taken out, and if we move on to 1B2 you can see there's two checkpoints missing. One would normally be here and one up in the top left corner. So those are just a few of the checkpoints that have been taken out from the game to make it more challenging. Now of course there's lots of different ways you could go about this. You could take out almost all of the checkpoints, or you could take out not many of the checkpoints, and you'd end up with different versions of the game that were perhaps some were more difficult and some were easier. So I've done exactly that. I've made 5 difficulty levels of this game by taking out different numbers of checkpoints. And today we are playing difficulty 1 out of 5, which is the easiest one. And we're just going to play through it and see how we go. I'm going to see how I'm going to try and get a relatively low death count. When I say relatively low, it's probably going to be hundreds, but see how we can go given the extra challenge. And I'm not off to a great start here. Of course, 1v1 usually has a checkpoint every time you get these coins, but that's not available anymore. That's better. So I might need to be a bit more careful here, a bit more cautious than I would usually be, since I've messed up my route. And I should mention that I am going to be aiming to get all the paints, although I'm not necessarily going to get all of the keys. That's just a personal choice. I just think that key in 5B3 is going to cause me a lot of grief on some of the harder difficulty versions of this. So I'm going to be completing all the paints, which, here we go, we can get the green paint, but not necessarily all the keys. So to explain a bit of the origin of this mod, you may have guessed it was inspired by the hardcore mode from the World's Hardest Game 4. So if anyone who's not aware, in the World's Hardest Game 4 there is a game mode called hardcore, in which there are no checkpoints at all. So the way it works is each level you have to do the entire level without dying, or if you do die you get reset to the beginning of that level. And then once you complete a level, you move on to the next level, and you never have to go back. But it's a really challenging game mode because each level has to be done the entire way through without dying. Now, personally, I've never attempted the World's Hardest Game 4 Hardcore. I don't think that anyone has actually finished it. I imagine that levels 1, 2, and 3 would be fairly straightforward. Of course it would take quite a few attempts, but it would be doable. And I imagine that level 4 or 5 would cause a lot of difficulty. So that's why I've never attempted it. I don't think it's within my reach. So what I wanted to do with this mod for the World's Hardest Game 3 is make a more practical version of hardcore mode that was actually fun and playable for most people, whereas the World's Hardest Game 4 hardcore mode is nearly impossible, to the best of my knowledge. And in doing so, I've ended up with, as I mentioned, 5 different difficulty tiers based on how many checkpoints I've removed from each version. I just remembered I need to get this other key here actually, because I need to get the blue paint. So difficulty 1, I've taken out I'd say about 1 or 2 checkpoints from each room, roughly. which might sound like a lot, but there's still a lot of checkpoints in there. And so difficulty 1 should be able to be completed by anyone who has completed the World's Hardest Game 3, but it will be more difficult than the normal game, of course. Difficulty 2, on the other hand, is a challenge, even for people who have comfortably beaten the original game. So difficulty 2 is a bit more challenging. Difficulty 3 is when I think that I will start to find it quite challenging. Difficulty 4, I think, will take me many thousands of deaths and many, many hours of attempts. And difficulty 5, I actually don't know if I'm going to be able to complete it. But we'll see. We'll see how we go. I think I have left some checkpoints in there. It's got a checkpoint in... It's got a couple of checkpoints in level 4 and one checkpoint in level 5. But one thing that's worth mentioning is that... Oh boy, I shouldn't be dying this much on this section here. And there I go again. Boy, oh boy. I suppose I haven't done 100% in, oh man. I haven't done anything 100% in a while, so... It's been a while since I've been through this area. One thing that's worth mentioning in this, hang on, let me just, maybe I should just slow down a bit instead of trying to do my speed strategies. It's worth mentioning that there's a difference between this version and the World's Hardest Game 4 Hardcore, which is that you can use, really not nailing it on this screen here. You can use the starting checkpoint from each level to save your progress if you get back to it. So that's an interesting touch. The only reason I made it that way is just partly because it's simpler to program, but also I think it makes a bit more sense and it makes some of the levels a bit more doable. So for example, in level 5, even though there's only one other checkpoint, because you also have the starting checkpoint, you do actually have the ability to save a significant amount of progress using that checkpoint. So that's the idea with that. So I'm going to play all of the difficulty levels and showcase them on my channel, and they'll all be released to the public, so if you want to try this out and give it a go, then head to the download link in the description, and you can play this as long as you have Adobe Flash projector or something that runs .ws.swf files, then you'll be good to go. Okay, we finally got the blue paint. Let's not die here though. Alright, let's move on past... Oh, that wasn't so good. So I think once we get to difficulty 4 and 5, it's going to be very challenging, but I still think it would be easier, or maybe difficulty 5 might be on par with hardcore mode from the World's Hardest Game 4. But as I kind of implied, the advantage of doing it this way is that, see now that's a change, because there's no checkpoint there, so I need to do this section again. So I should probably be a bit more careful in this room. Of course, once we get to the later difficulties, there won't be any checkpoints in level 2, so I'll need to be a lot more careful then. But the advantage of making a mod like this is that I have complete control over which checkpoints stay in the game and which ones are removed from the game, which means I can make a complete set of different difficulty mods, which is exactly what I've just explained. Whereas the hardcore mode from World's Hardest Game 4 is really just two I think tedious is a good word. I mean, yes, it's difficult, but it's not very difficult in a fun way. And that might be true of difficulty 4 and 5 of this mod, but I think difficulty 1 is quite a fun challenge. That's not so outrageously difficult. Now, since I'm not doing 100%, I'm not going to bother with that key there. I'm just getting all the paints. And in case you didn't work it out, this is not a speed run or anything. Although I am trying to move through reasonably quickly, I'm not timing myself or aiming to beat any kind of time. If anything, I'm more interested in death count. I don't expect... I'm planning just to play these versions once and then move on. But if I do ever come back, it will be to complete them with fewer deaths, not to complete them in a faster amount of time, because I think that's the goal with this mod. Now, of course, you'll probably also notice that there's no checkpoint in the middle of this room, so that's another checkpoint that's been removed. And also in this room here, you can see that the top and bottom checkpoints, like where I am now and above, have been removed. So there we go. I just died and now I have to do that again. Not that it's particularly difficult, which is why I've chosen to take these ones out of the difficulty 1 version. Most of the checkpoints I took out of the difficulty 1 version don't actually make much difference. So like I said, anyone who's completed the game, the normal game, should be able to complete this without too much extra difficulty. Once it gets to difficulty 3, then it starts to get quite hard. Yeah, this room's completely the same as normal. I've taken some checkpoints out of this room in the later versions, but for difficulty 1, all of the checkpoints are still here, so nothing special going on there. And in fact, this room is also identical. And since, I just remembered, since I'm doing all paints, we will need to go down to C3 as well to get the yellow paint. Whoa, almost messed things up there. Now let's see if I can get through here. Ooh, yep. Okay, we're good to go. I might just turn off a few things I meant to turn off at the beginning, because that's causing a bit too much lag in there. Okay, and 3A1 is also still has all of its checkpoints, so not too much is different here. Although I did mess up my route slightly, but hopefully we should be able to recover. In fact, we got the coin so quickly that we can... Oh no, never mind, that's a different cycle. That's okay. Luckily, I'm pretty confident at improvising. Oops. Yep. Pride cometh before the fall. I just wasn't quite aligned on the square the way I was supposed to be. Oh well. Lucky it was on the difficulty 1 version, right? And not in the middle of some crazy deathless attempt for difficulty 5. Now we're on track. Okay, that could have been a bit quicker, but like I said, it's not a speed run, so we got through, and that's all that counts. And again, I've kept the checkpoint here because this room already has plenty to do with just one checkpoint, so to take that out would be, that's a difficulty 2 kind of thing. I think I took it out in the difficulty 2 version. I can't remember the exact checkpoint layouts of all of them, but I think I did. One thing that went through my mind as I was choosing the layouts for each of these difficulties is that I wanted to keep a gradient between the difficulty of each of the levels. So I've still made it so that level 2 is harder than level 1, and level 3 is harder than level 2, etc. Whereas I could have chosen... Oh, that was a silly mistake. I could have chosen to take out more checkpoints from level 1 in order to make all of the levels roughly the same difficulty. But I decided not to do that, to make the whole game harder and just make each level harder by the same amount. So the upshot is that level 1 from this mod is still a lot easier than level 5 from the original game, and level 1 from the level 2 mod is going to be easier than level 5 from this mod, and so on. And that's the way I want it to be. And we're going to be caught up by those enemies. Okay. A bit more concentration here is needed. Actually, I don't know why I'm getting this key. This is the wrong one. It's actually the one in... yeah, I thought this is the one I wanted, but actually it's not. Ooh! Ooh! I'm doing an excellent demonstration of how to die when you've got quite a lot of stuff on the line. Although, you can't really say that in this mod, because once we move on to the higher difficulty mods, there will be long stretches without a checkpoint. Long stretches. So this is mild in comparison. And I've realized now I don't need to get that key, so that will save a bit of grief. Now, I've gone over here because this is my 100% route. But I'm not actually sure if I'm doing this correctly, but we'll soon find out. Now I think I need to go... Oh, it's been a while since I did this. Yeah, like that. That'll do. So I've also taken out this checkpoint here. I've always thought that this was a bit of an excessive checkpoint. But it's level 3. It's not supposed to be super difficult. So... it's fair enough. Ooh. Okay. Nice little key clip there. I love that route. Okay, and I've kept this checkpoint here as well because, again, it's just difficulty 1, so I'm not trying to make it hellishly difficult, not yet. It's still a lot of stuff to do with just one checkpoint, so we'll see if I can make it first try or not. I think I'll go down to the checkpoint now, and then, yeah, everything else I will get on the second run. Actually, oops, well I died anyway. I was going to say, actually I need to enter this part from the bottom, so I might as well come by the checkpoint again and save these 2 keys. Oh. Yeah, sometimes you need to be a bit more patient. Okay, so we need to get this key. Oops. Wow, that has actually never happened to me before. I didn't know... I thought the player went at exactly the same speed, but it looks like it actually goes slightly faster. Actually, I think I did know that, I just forgot. Yeah. Okay, we've unlocked the door to 3C3, and much like most of level 3, I've kept all the checkpoints. Well, there's only 2 of them. I've kept the checkpoints in 3C3, so that shouldn't be too much of a challenge. In fact, the checkpoint in 3C3 stays there until difficulty 5, because it's one of the hardest rooms in the game, so it doesn't need to be any harder until it really needs to be. Okay, so I think we've got everything except for these coins over here and the yellow paint. So let's go over to... If I'd thought this through a bit more carefully, I would have done my 100% route, and we wouldn't have had to come back here for a second time. But that's okay. Oh! Ouch. That's it. Okay. We're going in here with 32 deaths. Let's see how we go. So far, so good. Now, in a speedrun, I probably would have tried to enter there, but because we're just chilling and going for low deaths, I'm going to play it safe. And I'm going to play it safe at this end as well. Ooh! I just realized as well, I'll probably change to red. Partly because I don't really like blue, but also because blue is the same color as the enemies, which is the reason that I don't like it, so I guess it's kind of the same reason. But, yeah. Yeah, I shouldn't have rushed that. I should have just taken a breather after I got that key, but that's okay. Three C3 is a lot easier when you don't have the pressure of a ticking clock looming over your head. I don't often play this outside of speedrunning and speedrunning practice, so that's quite refreshing. It really is, and I think 4v4 will also be a lot more relaxed, because 4v4, you know, it's just the thing about 4v4 is every time you die you lose time, but if you're just playing casually, it's not nearly so agonizing. Of course, in the later difficulty levels, I've taken out some checkpoints from 4v4. In fact, even in this difficulty, there's one checkpoint that's been removed. So that's going to be difficult, but I think it won't be as infuriating, perhaps. Ooh, I don't think that was soon enough, unfortunately. Ooh, it was. We just made it. I remember Jacob commenting about how the hitboxes are more lenient when you're moving away from enemies. And he's absolutely right. At first I didn't really believe him, and then I realized he was correct. And then since I've been modding, I've been learning a lot about the game's code, and I'm actually now in a position to explain why it's true. The reason is because the way the game runs is it moves the player first on each frame, it moves the player first. Then it checks to see if the player's touching an enemy. And then, after that, it moves the enemies. So if you're trying to escape an enemy, what happens is, on a particular frame, you get to move forward to a position where you're not touching the enemy. Then the game checks to see whether you're touching the enemy, and it thinks, oh, the player's not touching the enemy, so we're not going to kill the player. And then on the same frame, but after that, the enemies will move into a position where they are actually touching the player, but it won't kill the player because it already checked that. And so you can actually have a position where the player is running away from an enemy, and the enemy is actually touching them at the end of every single frame, but they don't get killed because of the order in which the game calculates those things. So I thought that was really interesting. And conversely, if you're moving towards an enemy, you get punished in the reverse manner. So what I mean by that is, if you're moving towards an enemy, the game will move you towards the enemy first, and then it will check to see if you're touching the enemy, and then it will move the enemy away from you. So if you're moving towards an enemy and you touch it, it will kill you even if the enemy was about to move out of the way. So it's an advantage when you're moving away from an enemy, but it's a disadvantage when you're moving towards an enemy. So that's quite interesting. And you can see as we're moving into level 4 here that there was no checkpoint in 4B1, that's been taken out. And there's no checkpoint here, so this is starting to get a bit more challenging. There's no checkpoint here in the entrance to C3. And, oh, wow, oh, okay. There we go, so I've been sent back here. I'm going to do a pattern reset because I want to be at the right pattern for these up here. So level 4 and 5 are going to be a fair bit more challenging in this particular mod, in this particular difficulty. So we'll, I seem to be making the same mistake more than once, which is never good. So let's try and fix that. I think I'm making the age-old mistake of focusing on the coins when I really should be focusing on the enemies. So let me try that instead. That's better. Okay, cool. Now 4C4 is the same, except you'll see that there's a missing checkpoint down in the bottom left. That's where we'll be going into 4B4 later. But first, we've got to go to E5 and D2 and do all sorts of other things. So I kept both the checkpoints in this room because it's one of the most difficult rooms in level 4. So I've kept these ones for difficulty 1. In later difficulties, one or both of them will be removed. Oops, I don't need to go down there anymore. I don't know what I was doing. In fact, I don't know why I died over here in the first place, because this route is usually not one that causes me any trouble. Oh, that's right, I didn't go far enough. That makes sense. Okay. Moving into 4D4, you'll see that the checkpoint... Oh man, let me concentrate on these enemies. The checkpoint at the end of this room has also been removed, so like I say, it's starting to get a fair bit more challenging. But I've kept the checkpoint into E5 because again, that's one of the hardest areas of the game. Now, one thing I noticed while I was testing this mod, which had never occurred to me in the entire time I've been playing this game, is that you can actually go through this room in either direction. The whole time I've been playing this game, I always thought, you know, I saw the wheels turning around and I just thought, oh yeah, there's wheels, you can only go in one direction. But you can actually go in either direction, which means that if you're playing this mod, what you really should do, since there's no checkpoint over here, what you really should do is come straight to this checkpoint instead of going around, which was a mistake I made. instead of going around, you should come straight to this checkpoint, and then you can get the coins, and then come back to this checkpoint to so that you don't lose as much if you die. And that's going to be the case in later difficulties as well. Except for, I think, difficulty 5, where I removed this checkpoint and the bottom left one. I removed both of them. Anyway, I need to concentrate on E5 here. It's been a long time since I've played this room. Okay, that's good. Once I get the key, I should be able to get out. Oh, or not. That's okay. This is still one of the most ingenious rooms or levels in the entire World's Hardest Game series. It's just so simple and yet incredibly difficult. Also, the enemies are really slow, and it's kind of the same with 4v4. You know, the enemies are so slow that it actually becomes difficult because you need to inch your way along. But it's kind of astonishing that such a difficult level could arise from such slow enemies. Anyway, we're out of there, so that is all done, and we've saved it with a checkpoint, so it's properly done. Okay, that's the end of 4D4, so we just need to head over to D2, get the key, head over to B4, and we'll be done. We're sitting at 51 deaths, which is not too bad considering that we've got reduced checkpoints. Okay, that's pretty good. Now, no checkpoint here, so I need to get over to D2 without dying. And of course, like I said, you know, these stretches without checkpoints are nothing compared to what's to come. But I like that. I think this is a fun, sort of casual difficulty level that's not too intense. Well, that was silly. Oh man, it's the exact same mistake again. I'm just gonna kill myself. I mean, I could have got it later, but I'm just gonna do the route I'm familiar with. Oh man, this route I've got for this room is not as easy as it looks, and perhaps my performance right now is not making it look very easy. But in my speedruns, usually I get a deathless, but that's because I usually practice it a lot beforehand. I have not really done any practice or preparation for this video, so I'm gonna be quite rusty on a lot of things. There we go. Ooh. Now, some people might be wondering whether I'm going to speedrun this or any other versions of this mod, or they might be interested in speedrunning it themselves. I don't plan to speedrun this at all, because it really is the same game, just with, as the title suggests, with fewer checkpoints. So as far as speedrunning goes, I'm more interested in optimizing the original game rather than... Well, let me put it this way, the original game still has plenty of challenge to overcome, so there's no need to make it any extra challenging by removing the checkpoints. That's one reason. The second reason is it's not an official release, so that's a good reason not to speedrun it. And if there were to be speedruns of this, it would have to be split into 5 different categories for all the different difficulties. So all in all, I think that's not really the objective of this mod. And so anyone's welcome to speedrun it if they want to, but I'm not going to host leaderboards. There almost certainly will not be leaderboards on speedrun.com, and you probably won't have much competition. Personally, I think it's more interesting to just play it, have some fun, and maybe see how many deaths you get as a measure of skill rather than the speed in which you can complete it. So that's kind of the idea that I had when I made this mod. So I did say I've removed a checkpoint from 4v4, which is true, but the one I removed was the one at the beginning, which doesn't really affect the middle part of the room. So I made part of it a little bit harder, but the main part of the room is untouched. Of course, that will change in the higher difficulties. But even in difficulty 5, there is still a checkpoint in this room. In fact, I think there might even be 2. Can't remember actually, but I think I left 2 checkpoints in this room because it is just so... Actually, I think it was just... You know what? I don't remember. It will be a surprise. It will be a surprise when we play it. Okay, let's focus on getting back here, because this... Oopsie. Yeah, that really shouldn't cause any problems. This is, of course, the easier part of this room. Okay, that's done. Oh, come on. I thought I would have got the checkpoint there. There we go. For anyone who doesn't know, there is evidence that the original draft of this room actually had less checkpoints. Instead of having 2 small checkpoints in the middle, it just had 1 in the very middle, and the other, where the small checkpoints are, was actually walls. And you can see that on a video that Steven made as a trailer for the World's Hardest Game 3. So originally it was more difficult, but obviously he realized that that was way too difficult, and so he changed it to this, which is still very difficult, but I think it's well balanced. Oopsie. So now we get sent back to here, but that's alright, it's not too big of a deal. Okay, cool. Now we've still got a few coins, oh not many actually, just a couple of coins to mop up here. So I'll just get the checkpoint with those. And these other ones I'll just get on my way out. Shouldn't be too difficult. Yeah, there we go. Now I've got to remember what the pattern is here because it's been a while since I played this, so let me concentrate on this. I think this screen is a really nice development on the idea presented in level 40 of the World's Hardest Game 2. I think it's really clever the way that this screen builds on those ideas and takes them further. Particularly this segment here, which is reasonably difficult to remember. The first section's not too difficult because it has a kind of a pattern to it. But this section is more random. Yeah, see, it's been too long. I couldn't remember whether I had to go up or down there. Now I know. Yeah. It's really interesting playing this for the first time though, and discovering the ways in which you need to move, and each time you go through you get one step further, and then you die. Because if you don't know where to go, you're pretty much certain to die unless you guess correctly. And of course he makes you wait twice here just before the finish, which is clever. Oh wait, hang on, I'm supposed to be doing the paint, so I better turn on my speech bubbles. Ooh, I almost forgot that. We should be good to go here. Nice. And I suppose we might as well use grey paint for level 5. Well, here we are. Level 5 is going to be quite difficult, although it shouldn't be too bad. As you can see immediately, we're missing the bottom left checkpoint in this room. So that means we need to do the whole room at once, or if you really wanted, you could go back to the starting checkpoint to save, but I don't think that's really worth it. So basically you just have to do the whole room at once. It was quite difficult for me to modify level 5 because there's so few checkpoints anyway that as soon as you take out one checkpoint, it creates a huge gap between neighboring checkpoints. Like for example, if I took out this checkpoint here in this room, it makes it insanely difficult to do B3 and C4 and all the other stuff you need to do nearby. So I did do that in, I think, starting from difficulty 4, this checkpoint has been removed, but it stays around for difficulty 1, 2, and 3 because it is such a crucial checkpoint in level 5. So I'll just get the keys now. I don't really know why I was doing that, but the coins, sorry, not the keys. Okay. So we're also missing the checkpoint into 5D4. Now we could have, if we wanted to play it safe, we could have stayed in C4 and gotten the key so that we could save at the other checkpoint. That's probably the smart thing to do. But I'm just going to use my normal route and just hope I don't die. Although I already messed that up there, unfortunately. But I think I should be alright. Yeah. Wow, that was pretty messy, but it looks like we made it out alive. Yeah, so once you get this key, you can save up there, which is the safe way to play it. But we made it, which is nice. On the left of this room is the kind of place where it looks like I took out a checkpoint, but actually there's just no checkpoint there anyway. And that's just a decision that Stevie made. Level 5 has a lot of room changes without checkpoints. It's the kind of place where there would have been a checkpoint if it was level 3 or 4, but for level 5, no checkpoint there. Which is one of the things that actually makes that key in B3 makes it extra difficult, because of the lack of that checkpoint. Now let's see how we go here with B3. Ooh. Okay, I'm going to save in between just to be safe. I did do a bit of testing with the key clip on the left side of this room, and I came up with a new method which makes it not as difficult as I previously... I came up with a new method which makes it not as difficult as it previously was, for me at least. So I might try and incorporate that into my runs, but it still is only a small time save in a very risky area. If you die there, you lose 10 or 20 seconds. So it will have to be absolutely 100% reliable before I incorporate it into any full game runs. Okay, I shouldn't be dying over this section here. It's actually a little bit easier than the right side, or the left side, sorry. Oh. Man, I'm glad I have that checkpoint in B4. B3 is going to be a killer once that checkpoint goes away. You'll bet I won't be doing any key clips then. Not a chance. Just a little bit too much of a tap. Well, we're sitting on 78 deaths, which is pretty respectable. Of course, there's still a significant portion of level 5 to go, but I was expecting to get sort of 200 or 300 deaths. But it looks like we'll be able to get about 100 deaths, maybe a little less, maybe a bit little more, which is pretty respectable considering we're using a reduced number of checkpoints. Okay, so we got through those coins eventually. Man, I just love that route. It's so beautiful. Okay. Just be patient here. I could have gone through faster, but I'll just play it safe, since there was a little bit riding on the line. And we're almost into upper level 5, as Jacob Maisner would call it. Right, now let's see if I can remember my route for this section here. Ooh, just a bit too fast there. Am I even trying? Yes. Yes, I am trying. Thanks for asking. Ah, the exact same mistake again. I just need to pause there for a minute. Oopsie. Oh, I thought because I messed up earlier, I thought I could go through without pausing, but I was wrong. Very, very wrong. Okay, there's the pause. Boy, that took way longer than it should have. But we're chilling. We're just playing casually. Now, not much has changed here, because like I said, with level 5, once you take out a single checkpoint, it can have huge ramifications. So for difficulty 1, I've kept all of the key checkpoints, so that means this checkpoint is still here. You might notice I've taken out the one on the way to D1, but it doesn't make that much difference because this one is still, this checkpoint is still really close to the starting point basically. So it just means if you die you have to go through a little bit of extra rigmarole before you can actually get into D1, but it only takes like a couple of seconds to get through that. And of course this is the easiest part of D1 too, so it's unlikely that you'll die here anyway. So once we get to this checkpoint, D1 is just as normal. Now I need to do both sides of this because I need to get all the paints. So in order to get the rainbow paint, I need to unlock all of these keys over here. So it's been a while since I've done this, but I should be able to get through here without too much trouble. Yep, nice. That was first try, right? Oh, I think I might have died in the coin section. Yeah. The rainbow paint room is also something I haven't done in a long time, so that might take a little bit of practice. Now, of course, we hope not to die here. Nice. So we head on back through to do the any percent section. No, don't think we're going to make that. Huh. I think I was supposed to go in there. Yeah, I just got a bit confused for some reason. But we're all good. Nice. That's what I like to see. So let's go ahead and have a go at the rainbow paint. Now I've got to remember all of the entrances here. So this is the third entrance, this one. And this is also the third. And then it's second and second. So second. Oh, wrong square. I need to be on a white square there. This screen actually has a lot of memory aspects to it, now that I think about it. Yeah, because over there it's red squares. Yeah, I'm getting... Well, it depends which column you're in, but for the route I'm using, I go to a red square here, which is this one. Then I go around like that, this part here is pretty easy. And then here I'm going to, I need to pause at the beginning. I need to remember to pause at the beginning there. That's right, and then I go, oh man, what is it? I just can't remember. Oh well, I can work it out. It's, if I go up to the white square, yeah, come on, ref. If the ref is the reason I'm dying, then sure, I can get behind that. Okay. So, a short pause, then up to the white. Oh, come on. I was just a bit too high. Oh, man. Okay, red. Red. Ooh. Oh, I almost went through the second entrance, but that's the wrong one. Oh, I went up too high again. That's not what I usually do, I don't think. Or maybe it is. Actually, maybe it is. It's been a long time since I've done this room. Look, the rainbow paint's just sitting right there. Can't I just, alas I cannot. If only there was a key around here, I could just key clip through that wall. But alas. Anyway, we should be able to get this. If I can just get through this section, the rest of it's pretty easy, so we should be able to get this soon. Let's just go lower there. Yep, that's it. And then we can just go straight through there. Yep. That's the ticket. And then we go all the way through here. Just wait there. Okay, now we go all the way up to a red. Oh, no, it's not a red. Oh, really? I thought it was a red. It must be over by one column, I think. Maybe next time I'll actually stop and look at what's going on, because that is an option, of course. Well, this is adding a large unnecessary dent to our death count, but that's okay. It's kind of funny because this room hasn't been changed at all by the mod. It's just purely the fact that I haven't played this room in a long time. That's the only reason I'm dying. Okay, let's just stop here for a second and actually look at what's going on. Yeah, so we're supposed to be in the second column. Okay, so second column in red, and then we can go across here. Yeah. Now once I've found a safe spot, I know how to stay safe. Okay, we should be good. Oh! I tried to use a last minute safe spot, or what I thought was a safe spot. Turns out it was a death spot. That was completely unnecessary. I should have been a bit more patient. Ah well, you live and you learn. Or not. Ah, come on. There we go. And I'm going to have a lot of practice to do if I ever go back to 100%. And I have a lot of catching up to do. Okay, let's just play it nice and safe. Okay. We got it. We got the rainbow paint. Can we get through here alive? Yeah. Now hopefully D2 and D3 don't cause us much trouble. They shouldn't do, but after that stunning failure in the rainbow paint, I'm losing a bit of confidence, but I'm sure that we can get through here without too many issues. Oopsie. Come on. Oh, risk it for the biscuit. Playing risky here. Oh, I never turned speech bubbles off. Nice. In my trifecta run, I died, I think, 3 times to that key clip. I don't know why, I just got it wrong every single time, so I'm glad to have gotten that. Not that it's particularly difficult, but it just caused me trouble last time, so I was a little bit nervous. Okay, so we only died there, once, I think. It's not too bad. Alright, so we're actually almost done. We just need to mop up. We've got the paint. We've got all the coins. We just need to make our way to the grey. And there is a checkpoint there. I haven't removed that one. So that shouldn't be too difficult. Ooh, that was unnecessary. So was that? That's because I messed up the, didn't do a pattern reset, but then got myself in trouble. Ooh, that's alright. This is going to be much more annoying once I remove the checkpoint there. Although once I get onto the grey, I can usually get to the end. Oh man, same mistake again. I can usually get to the end without any problems once I'm past that. In fact, I can usually get through this without any deaths too, so... yeah. Okay. Let's see how we do on the grey. Oh, that was weird. I just got myself a bit confused there. This is concentration time. just playing it nice and safe here. Ah! Oh, I knew I'd messed myself up. I was sitting there for a split second thinking, oh no, there's no way out of this. There's no way out of this. And then the enemies came together and everything went black. Yeah, that was the end of me. That's why you never situate yourself in the middle of a death line. You gotta, if you're gonna cross it, you gotta cross all the way to the other side, not just sit in the middle. Whoa! Oh! I just got myself completely confused there. Didn't press left, and then I went back up, and then I went back down too quickly, and it all happened so quickly. So I'm glad that I'm getting all my deaths out of the way on the difficulty 1 version. I'm sure that after I've done this, I'll be able to get all of these areas completely deathless. I'm sure there'll be no problems whatsoever. Completely deathless on difficulty 5 mode. No problems. So, just reflecting on our experience here, I would say probably level 4 is the most effective in this difficulty mode. Oh, whoa, did I get all of those coins? Whoa, I've never done that before. I'll have to check the footage. Did I really? Wow, I didn't know you could do that. Okay, let me concentrate here and not make the same mistake I made last time. Oh, it is the same mistake. Ah! Yes, be more patient. Yes, you're exactly right. Oh, I thought I could make it through, but then, What a silly mistake. Just puts a bit of a damper on the mood when you die so much on the final screen, you know. Everyone's awaiting the epic finish, but it's more like epic blunders. Anyway, I hope you've all enjoyed this quick run through the fewer checkpoints mod, and if you think it looks like fun, then please give it a go. Because I think it will be fun for anyone who's played the World's Hardest Game 3 and enjoyed it and wants a more challenging experience or even just a different experience. Yes, I have no idea how I got that extra coin last time. Of course, Kurab did a strategy where he got them all at once by crossing over to the other side in that area, but that's much harder than is necessary, so I don't use that. Okay, third time's charm. Okay, there we go. Alright, we did not choke. So, thank you everyone for watching. That is my fewer checkpoints mod, difficulty 1, for the World's Hardest Game 3. We completed that in 120 deaths, which I think is pretty good. Definitely much lower is possible. This mod is not that difficult. But in terms of the death count, one of the things I'm interested in with this mod series is regaining that feeling I had the first time I played this game, where I would just die over and over and over again. And it's frustrating, yes, but it also has a certain power to it, because when you get through a level and you can say to yourself, I put in 200 or 500 attempts into that area and now I'm through it. It's such a satisfying feeling. So when I first played this game, it took me 5,000 deaths, roughly. I don't remember the exact number. And we just completed this with 120 deaths with far fewer checkpoints, right? So obviously I've played this game a lot, I've gotten a lot better at it. But I hope that with some of the higher difficulty versions of this mod, that I might once again find myself in the region of thousands of deaths. We will have to see how many attempts it takes us. But thank you all for watching. This is Fewer Checkpoints Difficulty 1, and I'll shortly be posting a video of Difficulty 2. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.